What's up again, guys? In this video, I'm going to cover the deck building aspect of Paragon. I've seen a lot of comments and concerns regarding the deck building system and the card system in general. People expressing that it might be overcomplicated or confusing, or additionally a barrier to new players and things of that nature. What I'm going to do in this video is cover some basic concepts for each role in Paragon. I'll cover all the roles, and it'll allow you to create decks that are effective and fun because you're going to be winning more and things of that nature. And what will happen in general is when you understand these basic concepts, you'll be able to see that the deck building system really isn't that complicated. You can accomplish the goal that you're trying to accomplish in a few ways. Once you understand the basic concepts, you'll be able to make multiple decks for each role that you like, and they'll also be effective. And as you can see here, I'm on Twin Blast. I'm going to start with the attack damage carry role. This guy has some cool skins I'm showing here. So we'll start with attack damage carry, then we'll move on and cover ability damage caster, frontline tank, and support as well. So one thing I want to cover for the deck builds, where this might be a little confusing because you only have 6 slots and you have 60 points, so this is a lot of stuff here that's showing up. The general strategy is to build cards that are cheaper cost. In this case, in Fury, you have cards that you can fill for 5 total card points of your 60, and filling them up, I'll show you here, a fully upgraded bonus, you get a bonus card point once you upgrade the card. So optimally, you will build your cheap cards and continue getting the upgrade bonuses on them in the early game, leading into mid and late game, and then you'll replace them with more costly cards, which you'll still get upgrade bonuses for, but because these are cheaper, you get the upgrade bonuses early without giving up that extra card point. If you would, for example, if you would build something like this 12 point, so this card would require 12 card points for the fully upgrade bonus instead of just 5. This card requires only 5 card points to get the upgrade bonus. So that's one idea that you guys can use in your own deck builds, and why this looks very full. I'm using all 40 card slots here for this deck, but the final deck is just 60 card points and it's only 6 slots of cards. So first on the list, we have the attack damage carry role. So this is going to be all of the characters in the game that deal most of their damage through auto attacks, through basic attacks. So that's going to be your safe lane. It'll be Twin Blast, Sparrow, Murdoch, Yin, Serath. I might be missing somebody, but you get the idea. Any character that falls under that umbrella. And you have a prime card. I'm using Archmagus here just because I build attack speed as well, so I don't think you need extra attack speed in this build, so I just get the extra power. And early game, you want a health potion or maybe strike token accompanied by flat or a Matstone gem. But the idea of the deck is as follows. So your primary function is to deal damage. So the base of your deck is going to be in power, because power is what translates directly to damage. So the basic concepts for attack damage carry that this deck has been solved is the base of power accompanied by critical strike chance and a crit modifier, which Blade of Agora, there are other options. There Hunger Maul, 100% crit bonus. There's another one, Blast Harness, which you can put attack speed in, but it gives you 100% crit bonus as well. And So base of power, crit chance, a crit modifier, and lifesteal. So lifesteal is going to give you a percentage. You see it says 5 lifesteal and 2.5 for fully upgraded. That is going to give you 7.5% of damage dealt through basic attacks back as health. So the reason that lifesteal is included in the attack damage carry dex is for not only sustain during fights, or you can just hit minions or creeps after you fought to regain health, but also primarily for the objective play, so that you can, by yourself, you can solo the Raptors, or you can solo or Prime, which is outside of just winning the game through destroying the enemy core, or Prime is the biggest objective in the game. So the deck build just follows that. If you want a base of power and you're going to add critical strike and lifesteal, it's beneficial to have a card that covers more than just one aspect of the build. So in this case, Impact Hammer or Micro Nuke covers the power and crit, and I like attack speed because it's very synergistic with the lifesteal as well, so I build a Whirlwind Wand. This will cover what you need. So next on the list, I'm going to cover ability damage caster, which I have the Fae here as an example. In the early game is generally health potion and either 2 cast tokens or health, depending. And this role is similar in deck building concept to attack damage carry, except that the hero will deal most of their damage through abilities instead of basic attacks. So with that in regard, you don't have criticals on abilities. So instead of having a crit modifier, you want to do ability penetration, which will bypass ability armor, and every hero has base ability armor. So even if they're not building something like a Toon Barrier or Thermo Bond with some armor in it, you still want penetration to bypass their natural ability armor. So kind of mirroring the attack damage carry, you want a base of power, which you can have through a variety of cards or many cards that give power, and then supplemented by ability penetration. And this card is great because it gives you ability penetration and power once you upgrade it with some mana regen. So it's a beautiful card for the ability damage casters. So here, so the basic principles here only cover 2, which is power and penetration. So you actually have more room to express your own ideas in a deck build like this. These are some of the ideas that I have for the Fae, and of course your build may vary. I think I would highly recommend trying out Thick Blood on her and Teleblink. I'm not sure about Stinger Boost, I'm just testing. I think Ash of the Witch on her is probably just a must-have. It's just an amazing card on the Fae. So that covers the ability damage caster. You just need a base of power and ability penetration, and then from there you can build according to what you think is appropriate for the situation. Next we have the Frontline tank role, which generally is going to be jungle or off lane. And I have Greystone here. I've been testing this deck, having a lot of fun with it, doing very well. One thing I want to point out is I used the Warlord on him as the Prime card, because once your team has secured Prime as Greystone, it's a huge benefit to have attack speed when you're diving objectives, when you're diving towers and the core or inhibitors. The extra attack speed translates to huge damage on the structures while you have Prime. So I think this is probably just clearly better than Centurion. 250 HP is just like, I'm not sure, it's arguable, but I think this is, in my opinion, it's clearly better. But anyway, let's move on. So beginning game, health and healer token for off lane generally. I don't jungle him very much. I have a slot here. I can put a siphon in here in case of jungle, but let's just move on. So the base for a frontline tank, we've covered damage rolls. Now you want to be a tank. You want a frontline for your team. You want to absorb damage. So the base of this deck is actually health. Okay. So you have the Guardian's Ward, which you can socket with as much health as you want. And also, so the base is health, and then secondarily you want armor. So here's a Tempered Plate. Greystone also has a passive that gives them health and armor against basic attacks. And then furthermore, I think Thermo Bond at this point is, I'm not going to say it's mandatory, but I think it's hugely beneficial for frontline. Healing for 12% of your max health over 4 seconds after being hit by any of the CC listed here is highly synergistic with building health in the deck already. And also, one interesting point I want to point out here, this card, besides having that benefit, which you want anyway, also provides a slot to build into ability armor, which is very important now that Morrigish is released, because that hero does some ridiculous damage. So you want some ability armor in your build as a frontline. So a base of health and supplemented by armor, which is great. So that covers a few of the slots you have of the 6. So you still have room to express yourself however you want. We'll have Ashe in the deck. Even after the change, it did get changed to only once every 2 seconds for the slow effect. But I think maybe that's still fine. With more games, I'll be able to tell if I want it in there or not. But also, I have the quenching scales in here, which may not be necessary anymore since the deck build before wasn't as tanky as this one is. So I could replace that with something else, but it seems fine either way. And I have attack speed here. I just love being able to, if I'm going to go under a tower to try to force the objective, attack speed is important to be able to take down the objectives. So towers, inhibitors, you know, the core, etc. And finally, we have the support role. So in the support role, it's basically 3 things that you want. You want a ward for sure to be able to give you and your carry vision in case you guys are going to get ganked or anything like that. And in general, just vision for the team to know where the enemy's at is very important. And additionally, because your primary role is disrupting the enemy in a few ways, either supporting your carry directly or healing or shielding your team from abilities from the enemy team, or stunning them, disrupting them in some way. So the ward gives you vision, which functions perfectly for your role. Second, quenching scales, giving mana regen to you, which helps you use abilities to disrupt the enemy, and a heal and armor for your team is hugely important. This card is amazing. Mandatory, just mandatory for support role. And second to that, Honor of the Pure, just both of the cards you want quenching and Honor of the Pure, and it gives you mana and health, which is great as support. In that, so as the base of the deck, that is enough. A ward, quenching scales, and honor for sure, that's enough. You're gonna do greater support. Additionally, if the enemy team does have effects that you can counter with Purity Sensor, Purity is also a great card. If they have an Aurora, the Fae, anything of that sort, you can remove debuffs from you and all your nearby allies. It's a great card. Another card which is interesting specifically on Narbash is Divine Shield, because of his ultimate. So Narbesh's ultimate is an AoE slow, AoE damage, AoE knockup if he gets through the whole ultimate. So let's say there's a case where the enemy team doesn't require you to build Purity Sensor. Divine Shield, so that you're shielded from an ability while you're doing your ultimate, requires 2 abilities to be used on you as a support instead of your team, and it's really good. Like, as your role as a disruptor and a healer and stuff like that, supporting your team, having a Divine Shield cause the enemy to use 2 abilities to interrupt your ultimate is really effective as well. So that's a good base. You'll be fine with the ward, quenching skills, honor, and then possibly Divine Shield, possibly Thick Blood, possibly some armor. I wouldn't prioritize it too much. I would definitely get the healing and the shielding first, the ward, heal, shield, before I get the armor, but that's a good base for the decks. So there you go, guys. Those are the basic ideas for every role in the game and for deck building. That gives you a good enough foundation to do what you need to do as your whatever role you choose on the team. You can obviously build up on these basic concepts to make interesting decks and creative metagame decisions and things like that. If you like this video and you want to leave a comment, I actually got this idea from a comment from another video I made, which is pretty cool. If you guys want to see a video about something specific, definitely leave a comment. I'm open to any idea. I'm still new to this type of stuff, so I'll definitely acknowledge any ideas you guys have and try to make videos depending on what you guys want to see. So that's it for now. See you guys later.